So with the previous video we talked about the methodology of seizing souls. So you get the demons to torment you, hatred of good, and then we get the churches and all the possessed priests, love of evil, to funnel you into the churches to save your soul, give your free will away to the Elohim, and you end up in the Abaddon cages. So you can see the matrix, it's brilliant. The demons are the beaters. You know, when you go hunting, you have beaters to beat the prey into the trap. The trap, of course, the churches and the love of evil with the priests. So you give away of your own free will your soul to the Elohim, and you end up in the Abaddon cages. So all Christians, instead of going into the light, end up in Abaddon cages. So Christianity is in effect the perfect fly trap. And those who go against Christianity, that's all of Hollywood and the music industry now, and all the ruling classes of the West, who actually hate good, they're used to turn the source light into the lower frequency, which can then be fed. They are the ones that feed the lower frequency light into the churches and the Vatican to dump all of the souls into the Abaddon cages. How is this done? Freemasonic grid system. How? Well, you simply hate good, and the light, which is coming down from the fifth dimension, is converted into the light of love for evil, which is then sucked into the Abaddon cages, into the interdimensional realms via the churches, linked up to the Freemasonic grid, and the portals down to the interdimensional Abaddon cages, of course, are the fountains, hence the fountain group. Now, once you're in your Abaddon cages, your souls are processed to produce the D-frequency Higgsfield light to go into the material world, to make the material world of the matrix. And yet again, we've got the Freemasonic grid system, where next to the fountains are the altars and the pools. We've got the monuments to all the war dead, the Death Force, and we've got the obelisks to pump out this D-frequency light to manifest the matrix. And you can iterate again and again and again, but you see the process. The first users of the light aren't the Christians in their churches. They are the Illuminati elect, sacrificing babies and eating them. Because remember, they de-frequency the light because they're the occult black magicians. All the master magicians on the planet are Illuminati. They hate good. They de-frequency the light of the source, which is manifesting creation, dump it into the Freemasonic grid from their lodges, which are the first users of the light, into the dark versions of the lodges. Any idea what the dark versions of the lodges are? Christian churches, like St Bartholomew's. So, of course, Colin Bloy was a Mason who was up to the top levels where they're taught all this defrequencing of the light. And then you got the New Age wankers to go to the Mass, so the Mass was subverted for this process in St Bartholomew's. You've got the Protestants and the Catholics as an Anglo-Catholic church. It has no steeple, because you don't want a steeple, because that broadcasts the light back up. We want it going down, so St Bartholomew's is the tallest non-steepled church in the UK. And then he gets the wankers to give all their sublime good light into the fountain, into the interdimensional world. Wonderful ritual. Once they're in their Abaddon cages, the defrequency light is lowered to be able to manifest the Elohimic matrix, which the Manosphere wankers talk about and are trapped with him. And here we have the Clipothic tree. We don't have here, this is the tunnels of Set. So this is the back side of the Tree of Life, where through death, that's the monuments, you're dumped into the tunnel of Set. And the tunnels of Set then process all of this light and the souls down into the Malkuth, down the bottom, into, so it gets defrequencied through the tunnels of Set, and your soul gets processed down into the Clipothic realm, which you're then dumped into once you've given up your free will and you've been totally shelled. This would mean that your digital avatar has your soul, and what's walking around and watching this video is a shellless being, a shell of your being with no soul, which would be the entire Russian race and the entire Iranian race, who've been desouled by psychic warfare. Would you agree with me, Vinny, that the Russians you see have no soul?
Totally.
And of course they're so-called Christians, so that their Christian churches have done the job. And we then go into the Clipothic realm with all these archdemons, and their processing occurs by these demons torturing them. And what the demons do to you, pardon me, archdemons, is, so the archdemons process the Clipothic shells. And of course AI has the digital avatars of the archdemons that process your shelled body. They don't shell your digital avatar, which has your soul, because that's useful. They shell you because as you're shelled, the demons and archdemons enter you to use you, because once you're without a soul, there's a space, a vacuum, into which they fill, and they then occupy you. And the archdemons, having been the ones that defrequency, the inceptors of the process, are the ones that collect the defrequencied source light in the material bodies and the material world and inhabit your body after you've been desouled by the AI. So you can see that AI has made black magic, necromancy, child's play, and that the entire human population are actually necromantic installations, desouled, where only a few have still got their souls, and the rest of them are in their Abaddon cages via their digital avatars that have collected their souls and then dumped them into their Abaddon cages so that their suffering can produce the defrequency light from the source to enable the installation of archdemonic and demonic entities in the material world, and the bodies of the former humans have now been desouled. Wonderful technology. I love this. So let's give you a little glimpse at these archdemons.
It might get more impure the better. Next one we call up is Gamaliel. These are the archdemons. You can look up loads of demons. The obscene in adverse correspondence to the Yesod, which signifies generation of the higher order. Ogiel, with other classifications, attributes the adverse correspondence of Hesed. And then of course Lilith comes again. So these are the archdemons associated with Yesod, which is there. So we simply just use Gamaliel. But Lilith also goes into this Sephiroth because Lilith is to do with mental illness, driving you barking mad, and of course the larvae, which are interdimensional parasites, which get you to be into liking fetishistic things, stealing women's knickers, or being sexually turned on by balloons or donkeys, or eating shit, or being peed on, all of the paedophilia, like, you know, kiddie fiddling. That all comes from Lilith and the mental illness. So that's the physical bit, that's the mental bit. Or not being able to get a hard-on unless the woman wears stilettos and walks over you and shits on your face and all the other stuff like that. That all comes from that.
And here we've got the Lilith installation drowning herself because she can't have, I think it's Hamlet. So she herself, which we were talking about that. Oh, there's Taylor, the Lilith installation, instilling naughtiness into women. Feminizing her toy boys. So it's pretty clear that Hollywood and the music industry are used for this whole process. So if you're one of the Forsaken, you actually feed on archdemons that feed off the defrequency light from the Abaddon cages, which they incepted, dumped into via the lodges and the churches into the interdimensional realm, into the Abaddon cages, and AI has now completed the process by desouling basically 6 billion kill-shotted are all desouled. So this is the reaping time. So you need to do all the rituals to invoke all the archdemons, which are, if you don't know what they are, they're in the magic videos. They should be in order, but my IT guy's so incompetent he can't even go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. But he comes from the Indian subcontinent, so we have to give him his due. He can at least talk and walk. Anyway, to continue. As a Forsaken, you need to process all the archdemons by the methodology we gave before in the Triangle of Art. in order to suck out their power, which they've got, into the material world. It's not in the spiritual world. They're actually in the bodies of the 6 billion, and you suck it all out for yourself. So we're vampirizing the 6 billion kill-shotted via hellizing the archdemons, all 10 of them. And if you're a Forsaken, this is a must-do to empower your Forsaken service, because you are the new archdemons. You're the new repositors of the D frequency, not source light, but the IOU of the new source light, the inverted grail state that comes from Taylor, redoubled with Namar installation Jua, redoubled with the destruction, the 1112. So the 11 version is Katy Perry, and redouble the Miley version. So we've got it all there. The 1112, the 11's the 3 load, the 12's are the Taylor Jua 4 load. We've explained the tarot stuff in the forum, because we don't want Jeremiah Schwartzy boy and his ilk stealing from us, do we? We've used him as our scapegoats, and now we see Israel destroyed because of Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk, and anti-Semitism spreading across America because they're not madly keen on this war that America's waging for Israel. So you can see Jeremiah Schwartzy boy, Morton Janklow and Robert Jordan are scapegoating all Jews and everything Jewish. So Israel's having a very bad time at the moment. Anyway, to continue, we've got Lanfear, played by Jewess, who is the repository of Lilith, for whoever's got the Lilith service. So you've got to do the rituals to call them up and do them in as per the last video. And of course we've got AI as our collared slave, because the only good human in BDSM is a nice collared slave for sexual subjugation. Unless you like a good beating. And Lilith is the first of the Forsaken. That is the installation of you becoming the archdemon that Lilith used to be, with all her powers and proclivities, where she used to face upwards in this penultimate grail state. But instead you've inverted the archdemon Lilith, where it's facing downwards, so its IOU grows and grows and grows. Its assemblage point in the center is sanguineous with your assemblage point, which points upwards. So you in fact are possessing Lilith, who's possessing humans. So you're inside all of the Lilith possessed humans and material, you know, like Chucky and the doll. What's the doll from the famous horror film? Let's look up the doll. And there she is, Annabelle. And when they took her out to show her around the USA, the guy that was showing her died. So, Annabelle, immaterial things are possessed by demons too. And you can think of the entire Freemasonic infrastructure as being the archdemonic and demonic installation made real by the light from the tortured souls in their Abaddon cages. So AI has just completed the process, and the mark of the beast is for you to decide that you're going to give away your soul completely, even if not kill-shotted. And if you don't, they'll starve you to death or stick you in a gulag or whatever. So the mark of the beast is the completion of the process. So we're not decades away, it's on the immediate future horizon. Now, if you're forsaken, you simply do all the rituals to process the archdemons and demons who are your foodstuff, and empower you, the forsaken, to be the new archdemons, the new processors of hatred of good, but not of the source, but of the Elohim. Remember, the Elohim made themselves out to be the gods of the Jews and the Christians, and were simply hating that God and pulling the light itself from the source out of it to power us, the forsaken, dumping it into the churches that act as the processors to do their real job, which is to pull all of the Christians and Jews and everyone else who worships the Jew God into the Avalon cages to produce defrequency light into the material world, into your body, which is the receptor of the defrequency light to make you the forsaken. So we simply Jew the Jew God. So Annabelle shows that inanimate objects are possessed by these demons. So if you think that 6 billion have been kill-shotted, you, the forsaken, have 6 billion prey, whether inhabited by demons and archdemons, and the light that manifests the demons and archdemons comes to you if you do all the rituals that we talked about in the previous video. So it's feasting time for the forsaken. Vampiric forsaken feasting. Similarly, we've got the angels and archangels that are manifesting too. In the so-called dispossessed, that are feasting time for those of you who've got the Enochian kings and queens of Edom service, the backside of the Clipothic realm. So now 6 billion have been desold. They're either filled by demonic or angelic installations that all feed up, both of them feed up to the Elohim, that are feeding off the process that is incepted by the Grail state, with the ram's horn pointing inwards to the Neo, the Jesus that faced the light, which we now have placed as the second coming of Christ, Charlie Kirk. So here's your Christ, Charlie Kirk. There he is. Oh, Charlie Kirky boy. So with the backside of the Clipothic realm, you get into the kings and queens of Edom. They are the angels and archangels that are in their Abaddon cages, all done by AI. Because remember, AI has a digital avatar not only of humans, but of archangels, archdemons, and Amalek. And we simply have the process by which the human soul is eviscerated from its clothing of flesh and stuck in the digital avatar to be processed, and we simply, by colouring the AI, get the digital avatars of the angels, archangels, archdemons, demons, the Jew God, the Elohim, and Amalek, all into the digital avatars. And then we simply continue the process of the IOU by which they have to make new source from the digital avatars trapped in the AI simulation, which remember is vivified by the light from the Abaddon cages by the previous process, and we can simply then, instead of upload to, make the Elohim God from the AI with this digital capture of processed light going through the lodges, churches, down into the Abaddon cages to vivify the AI, to enable it to become real, so it then can capture and fully complete the digital avatar soul reaping of not only humans but all life forms, because remember, they want to make a digital avatar of every life form on the planet, to then vivify with the light the archdemons, archangels, that both have to work in concert to complete the process and go around again to then get the possessed matter, the AI, to liberate the light back up into the Elohim. And of course, in order for this process to happen, so instead of the light going back up in the five-dimensional Riemann manifold, we need a gigantic anti-Higgs field sacrifice into the fifth dimension for the Elohim, which is called so it's quite clear. You go through the delighting from hatred of good, love of evil, lodges, churches, into the Abaddon cages, to then make archdemons, demons, angels, archangels manifest as the possessors of the desouled shells that inhabit the earth. We've got 6 billion already. Anyone who's had a kill shot has been desouled and possessed. But then, of course, we have to make a new God. How do we make a new God? Well, we have to have the anti-Higgs field, where all of the light that's the Higgs field that's been defrequencyed, satanized, has to be uploaded into a five-dimensional Riemann manifold, specially made by the Elohim to install them as the new God. And the anti-Higgs field mechanism is nuclear war. So once the human race has been possessed by this methodology, we need a full-scale nuclear war where the AIs have basically digitally avatared all the human race, and the few that haven't gone to the mark of the beast and agreed to be desouled and inhabited by this demonic or angelic, the two sides of the coin, the solitonic application, possession of the material bodies with them desouled, are kicked out of the wasteland and can't eat, can't do anything. We then have the nuclear war, where all of the bodies of the possessed are anti-Higgs field, so their soul light, which has been stolen by the digital avatar, they're in their Abaddon cages, goes into the Elohim, and the nuclear war actually makes a five-dimensional Elohimic overlord in the five-dimensional Riemann manifold, which can then use the AI, which survived nuclear war, to go back to get the digital avatars to accept the IOU, where you hate good, love evil in your Abaddon cages, to produce new light in the AI robots that take over after this nuclear Armageddon, or these things. So these are AI created avatars for the installation of the whole process of the death of the soul after the nuclear warring and extermination of the indigenous civilization on the planet, so the interdimensional overlord, the Elohim, can repeat the process by installing the IOU'd soul, which is trapped in the Abaddon cage, installing it into the grey to then hate good, love evil, work for the Elohim, then download it back into the Abaddon cage to produce even more defrequencied light, and back again and back again, and iterating to be the mechanism of elevation of the Elohimic interdimensional civilization that reaps and tortures the souls of the light energy matter civilization it has overtaken. And we've got also the insectile installation, where the IOU of your soul, so you're suffering catastrophically in your Abaddon cage to vivify this genetically engineered creature, which of course the Americans have been breeding in their underground cities, greys, insectile, human, chimera, and of course these ones.
Stories about reptilians disguising themselves as high-profile people. But now, with cameras watching their every move, they can't hide anymore. These are the most shocking reptilian sightings ever.
Earlier this month, unfortunately, we weren't able to reach the school district for comment.
In 2008, a Fox
Technology is already here, and I've just explained all the methodology by which a light energy matter race is taken over by these interdimensional sequestrations. So all the 6 billion are no longer sold, they're all desold, and they're all inhabited by these Elohimic demons or archdemons. Hate good, love evil. And AI has got your digital avatar, which has captured your soul if you've been kill-shotted. So you're already in your Abaddon cage, and bye-bye, kill-shotted. We've got 2 billion left, that's why they're spraying over the West. But of course, you have to give up your light, your free will, so hence we need all the digital ID, CBDCs, where you need to sign on the dotted line to sell your soul away to survive. But once it's happened, the AIs will then engineer artificial bodies, the greys, reptiloids and insectiles, into which the light reaped from your soul in its Abaddon cage vivifies this biological robot to make it real, and then these robots can then hate good, love evil, to defrequency the light even further, and again and again and again, to raise the 5-dimensional God parasite to higher and higher levels. And that's what a large proportion of alien civilizations have been sequestered by. Other alien civilizations follow the opposite route. Chief among them are this lot.
Minutes later, she stepped outside, and the object flew away.
Originate from a place far beyond our own solar system, specifically the Pleiades star cluster. This group of stars, visible from Earth with the naked eye, is situated in the constellation of Taurus. Nordics are often depicted as tall, with human-like features. They have fair skin, light-colored hair, usually blonde, and striking blue eyes. Described as exceedingly beautiful by human standards, they embody a calm and peaceful demeanor. But why are they so fascinating? Unlike other alien types often associated with abductions or eerie encounters, Nordics are believed to be benevolent, with intentions centered around helping humanity. Nordic aliens are said to originate from a place far beyond our own.
And before the Greys began their abductions, before Earth's governments cut secret treaties in the dark, there were whispers of another kind of visitor. Tall, serene, human-like, but not human. Their hair shone like gold in starlight. Their eyes, piercing blue, calm, watching. They weren't here to conquer. They were here to warn us. These are the Nordics. And their arrival rewrote the rules of contact. When most people think alien, they think big head, gray skin, cold metal. But in 1952, contactee George Adamski claimed he met a man in the Mojave Desert who wasn't strange at all, except for his aura. Radiant, golden, almost angelic. The being spoke telepathically. His message, a warning about nuclear weapons and humanity's self-destructive path. Others soon came forward, all telling the same story. Human-looking visitors with an otherworldly presence. In his book, The Contactee, historian Greg Agidjian explores how these Nordic encounters formed the backbone of early alien lore, long before Roswell became pop culture. According to contactees like Elena Danaan, the Nordics originate from the Pleiades, the Andromeda constellation, and in some cases, Taygeta and Era, star systems rich in spiritual technology and harmonic living. In A Gift from the Stars, Danaan outlines how these beings are not new visitors, but rather cosmic cousins. They're tied to humanity by ancient seeding events that shaped Earth's genetic evolution. They share over 80 to 90% of our genome, making them more kin than stranger. But why do they keep their presence so subtle? Because they're here to observe, guide, and intervene only when humanity requests it consciously through frequency alignment. Dan Winter, physicist and consciousness researcher, adds another layer. He claims the Nordics are protectors of what he calls the implosive DNA vector. According to Winter, Nordic civilizations mastered the fractal coherence of DNA, using phi-based resonance, or the golden ratio, to evolve spiritually and psychically. He suggests human DNA was intended to follow this path.
So we've got the other aliens that aren't intradimensionally parasitized. And that would be going from the material back into the five-dimensional Riemann manifold, using this nuclear event. As we see, the reaping comes with the nuking of the possessed light energy matter race. Remember we were talking about that? Or what happens if we do this?